So when Apple announced the new iPhone 17 Pro with two updated cameras, the telephoto and the selfie camera, I was actually really intrigued by that. So I brought it out on a rainy day in downtown Vancouver just to see how the zoom would do as I walk around various Vancouver landmarks. I wasn't really expecting to do this video. I didn't really have a tripod, no setup, so I just walked around the way many tourists would. They'd walk around with their phone and just take some telephoto zoom pictures of sights and sounds they might see. My full review is coming soon, but this is a first look at the zoom, and I think it's a significant update this time around. I started by walking downtown, and I saw these orbs floating around this new art structure. So I started with the wide angle here, and quickly zoomed into the 100mm lens. It looked really sharp from my screen, and I zoomed in further to the 200mm lens. Still looked pretty sharp to me, so I was pretty happy with what I could see. So I'm pretty impressed with this zoom already so far. The next step is I walked a little bit further and just got a shot looking down Robson Street. It's a very typical shot in Vancouver because this where I'm standing is a pedestrian walkway. So I thought this was a good kind of urban shot. City life in this tourist area of Vancouver. Notice the detail on the logos of the vehicles and the people just kind of walking around. Pretty sharp all across the lens. This next video is now at Canada Place. I'm not really zooming in on anything in particular here. I just want to get a good peek of the water and the movement of the water. This is the wide shot, and now this. You can see zoomed in, you can see the birds kind of flying off here. This often makes for good B-roll footage. Probably better if you do have a tripod with you, and I just didn't have one on me today. Of course, this is downtown Vancouver, so there's Canada flags, and this is the day before the Truth and Reconciliation Day in Canada. So you've got the orange flag flying as well. And you can quite clearly see the flags flapping. This is now a bit tighter, and it does really look like you haven't lost a lot of sharpness here. Keep going now. My hands are starting to fail the stabilization here, and it's still very usable footage, and I'm pretty surprised that this is coming out of a thin cell phone camera. Okay, this next shot, I am at Cole Harbour, right behind the convention center. Funny, there's a guy around me just throwing food out for these seagulls to come, so I'm actually a little worried because I'm surrounded by seagulls right now, but I tend to get pooped on. Anyway, this is at the, we'll keep zooming in here, so it's still pretty sharp. 8 times. But, very typical B-roll shot. Get a shot of these birds grazing the water. A 200mm, still pretty sharp. You can see each individual bird kind of flapping around. You can see the ripples in the water there. Very clean details. Managed to get this at a cinematic shutter speed still. Oh. And now we're starting to see the blurriness of the ducks, but it's still pretty sharp at this point. I'm pretty impressed, and this is a rainy day in Vancouver. Typical rainy day. It's about ISO 54. Again, this is Cole Harbour still. You can see the harbor jet coming in the distance, and I'm trying my best to stabilize this as much as I can, but these seagulls are actually worrying me a little bit. But this harbor jet's coming in. It's pretty far off in the distance. Normally I would want to use a slightly stronger zoom. Not something I would normally carry around with me, but this gives me so many options and flexible options to get really good cinematic B-roll. Same plane, now it's touching down. We'll zoom in a bit tighter here, and now we got a very good shot of this harbor plane lying in the water. You can still read out all the details. The harbor jet propeller's starting to slow down. You can see the splashing in the water. And this is, again, this is straight, no additional lenses, nothing, and it's just really good, clean footage. Walked by, saw a helicopter floating in the air. So this is 200mm now. Still very clean, still a very good shot. And this would be typical footage for many of us who are not, traveling, don't really want to carry a heavy tripod with you all the time, but this does a really excellent job. So later that evening, I decided to take a couple low light shots. This is one from across Marine Drive towards Marine Gateway. Looked pretty good. I did shoot this in Napa log. Did generally like the footage, though you can totally see the small sensor of the iPhone starting to struggle here. So flaring is a problem here. It's kind of been an issue with pretty much all iPhones for as far as I can remember. And even before that, my other cameras. Here, zooming in, you'll see it even more. So this is just something to watch out for when you're shooting in low light directly into like headlights or lights or other light sources in a dark scene. You're going to see this generally. I think this was shot at about 1000 ISO, and honestly I think it was 30 frames and 1/30 shutter speed. There's obviously compromises when you film in the dark, but all things considered, I find that this zoom footage very usable still. So that's just the first look at the iPhone 17 Pro Max telephoto zoom. In the wild, I think this telephoto zoom is actually spectacular from my perspective. Now, I'm not a huge zoom photographer. I never bought really expensive high-end zoom lenses. I previously had the RX106 camera, and that had a 24-200 zoom lens. But I am interested in kind of comparing the two. So in my upcoming full review, I'll actually look at it in a lot more detail. Mine really focus on how I use and how it compares to my current lineup of cameras. And this was just a spur of the moment video. It really shows to me how far along the iPhone cameras have come. I know the Samsung have long zooms for a while, but this is the first taste of it that I've really looked into from the iPhone side. Anyway, if you want to catch my iPhone 17 Pro Max review when it drops, feel free to hit subscribe if that's your vibe. And let me know in the comments, would you like to see that RX 100 6 or 7 versus iPhone 17 Pro Max zoom comparison? I think it'd be very interesting. Thanks for watching, and until next time.